Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today. Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles Podcast, brought to you by Huntworth. Huntworth gear for all types of weather, all types of terrain, all types of budgets. It's clothing that just works. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. And today we're talking with Jared from the Habitat Podcast, also Vitalize Seed. And we've been using the Vitalize Seed all over with the Rome guys and with the podcast. We've been using it up in the UP and around here. I mean, my brother's got it and the deer are already in there. Just put it in a couple weeks ago and has got his first good buck showing up on camera. Just sent me a picture today. Nate just put some in over the weekend. Talk about it a little bit on the podcast, but we're putting it in up in the UP this weekend coming up. And going to put some in over on the lease. Ends up it's going to be on the corners because they're doing hay in the field, but still going to get some of that. So get over to Vitalize Seed, check out what they got going on over there. And the great dudes. Al is a super habitat or seed nerd. So he's always working on what's going to be better for the soil, what's going to be better for the animals, what's going to be better for next year, planning it this year. Just great dudes over there. Check them out, Vitalize Seed. And then get over to Latitude. I got some of the sticks in, dropped some of those off to Nate. Going to go try them out tomorrow. Myself, go hang a couple cameras and get those out there. And the sticks, Praxis Pack, profile platforms back in stock. Use code BHC, save 15% over there at latitude.com. And then speaking of cameras, Yellowstone.AI. Very, very impressed with their cameras as well as their customer service. Had one of the listeners got a couple of the cameras from guys that won them at Bowman's Club dinner. Got a hold of me, was having problems getting one of them to work. Called him up, talked to a real human being, got him set up, got him fixed up right there on the phone. No hassle. Just great customer service, real English-speaking human beings. Yellowstone.AI. You can use code Chronicles to save 15% over there on the cameras. And be watching out because there's some pretty cool stuff coming down the pipe. And then right now, if you sign up with the unlimited plan, free video through September. So Yellowstone.AI, use code Chronicles, save 15% over there. So again, if you're doing fall food plots, now is the time. So we're kind of running out of time here if you're in the Midwest. So get out there, get those done. And this podcast, we're talking a little bit about that, a little bit how to set them up, kind of habitat things, and a little bit out of state stuff. But always fun catching up with Jared. Know you guys are going to like it. As always, enjoy the podcast. Thanks for listening. All right, we are back with another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles Podcast. And we have Mr. Vitalize Seed, Mr. Nitro Boost himself, Jared Van Hees, for the 1-2 combo from Vitalize Seed over there in Habitat Podcast. So, busy time of year for you, sir?
Yeah, buddy, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's busy. It's spring rolling into fall is pretty busy. Get a little break in between for food plot stuff, but fall planting is on the mind right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's, I was going to tell you, and I was like, oh, well, let's wait to talk to you about it. Is, we just talked about the seed going up to the UP, and I messaged Andrew, and I was like, are we going to do food plots in the fall again? Like, I think that's a good idea. And he's like, we've been doing them all along. And it's the crazy thing is that we just cannot keep anything going into the winter. Like when you get up there, it's like there's, like I said, when we do the segregation, the peas are 5 foot tall, and then it looks like tumbleweeds go across there. Like it looks just like dirt. So it's just wild to see how fast it gets eaten down.
Yeah, yeah, they're both real. I mean, it's all pretty attractive stuff, first of all, and then combined with your area, I've been to your UP farm. You guys have some deer, a lot of deer, and I noticed that on my way down, and then when I was there, and I'm not surprised at all that a lot of your food gets walked off the field. I mean, do you guys use an exclusion fence by chance? Have Andrew put that in this year if you don't, like a 3 foot diameter fence, and just see what can't get eaten and see what your plot would look like, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We did that last year, and
Oh,
like I
gotcha.
said,
Okay.
the peas were over my head. Like they were.
Yeah.
I mean, we put it was probably a 4 foot or higher fence, and the peas were sticking out the top, and it was just insane.
That just screams deer density to me or a habitat guy, like I mean, it's a lot of work to shoot that many does. It really is, but you could shoot a few more, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it, and I guess that's the thing that I just don't really understand because it's always been a culture up there, at least for our camp, is that it's always been shooting does. Like, not a whole lot of things walk, but also one thing that I think we don't realize is the amount of pressure that you can put on a piece of property like that. So, I mean, we still see deer, and we shoot the ones that we see, but then when there's nobody up there all year round, they're just coming in and eating and eating and eating. And then when we come in with the boomsticks or whatever, when we're there hunting, they kind of get pushed off, and the ones that stick around get killed. And then we leave, and then they come back and eat everything. It's just, it isn't like, it isn't like a sanctuary or like a mecca of deer that we see, but in reality, the deer are there when we're not, I think.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like a lack of trying from you guys, you know. It's yeah, that's tough. 'Cause especially these deer, they know when I pull into my farms, they know when I pull out. They know, that's how they set up their bedding, and at least the ones I'm trying to kill. And it's challenging for sure. It's like I almost need to be dropped off in the middle by a drone or something, right into my saddle platform, and just, shoot a few that way. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they hear you coming in and getting ready for hunting time. That makes sense, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. And the lack of, I mean, there is food around, but I just think it must be that our property holds like a lot of the bedding, and then they go off for food and then come back a little bit. Um, and then what we have there, they just eat down to nothing and then move on.
Yeah. When's the last time that place was logged? I don't remember.
Oh, it was long ago.
Because there
It,
could
it
be,
was,
food plots are great, but the more sustainable food is going to be that in the woods with sunlight coming in for sure. That could help, I guess, up your game to feed that many deer is what I'm saying.
yeah, and we've kind of talked about it, and that's the tough part about like trying to figure that stuff out is are you managing it for habitat? Are you doing it for the deer? And I think, at the end of the day, I think they're looking at that again because, like, however long, and they may correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, like, however long ago it was logged, all that money was set aside to pay taxes and stuff like that. And I think that money's like kind of dwindling down now. So they're kind of looking at maybe getting it logged again. But I think timber prices are down. So it's like, well, compared to what they got back in the heyday,
Yeah. Yeah. They were really good like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and then we logged up north maybe like 4 years ago, and we still got decent money, but not like it was 2 years before that. So I know what you're saying, kind of the chicken or the egg, but yeah, if the tax money's running out and you got to replenish the kitty, win-win on the deer side.
And then I guess I'll ask you this. So when you do log a property, and especially up there where the winter tends to stick around longer, and when you're talking about swamp and add another layer of difficulty getting the machines in and out and that, how does that affect the deer hunting for that year or the following year because of the timing of the logging?
Yeah, it depends on when you cut, but honestly, like deer, especially up there, I feel hear that chainsaw, it's like a dinner bell, So yeah, if you're cutting in November, all through November, which I had done on mine because the guy wasn't done yet, and he was there all year. That pressure will slow the hunting. But my 40 down here, I had logged, I think it was August and September. They were out by like October 5th, just going haywire in there. And deer were back, so it all is going to depend on when it's dry enough to get in there and when their schedule opens up. And you might want it logged, say, this year yet. Well, they might have 6 months or a year worth of jobs ahead of you. So being proactive on that and getting somebody to sign up and then, in your contract, right, you can't, you got to be done by October 1st or whatever the date is that you make up. And then if they're not done, resume January 1st. Yeah, there's ways to battle that. But as far as I'm concerned, that chainsaw is a dinner bell for sure. All those tops on the ground, all those the fresher tips of the branches that are more tender than like the trunk of the tree. Yeah, they hear that and come running usually.
Yeah, and I know, listening to, actually I listened to one of your podcasts recently, and the guy that was on there, it seems to be kind of like an ongoing theme where, you think about habitat and you automatically go to food plots, right? But it's like the time with the chainsaw is probably the most bang for your buck, is what he was saying. And, it's just something that, you don't really think about. You think about almost like harming the woods more than helping the situation.
You're totally right. It's not as sexy either, as planting and watching that fresh field come up, smell it turn dirt and all that. But now, like, if I walk into a woods that needs to get cut, I've been doing this a while now, I get like itchy on my chainsaw trigger finger. I'm like, I just want to drop these big trees. So you're right. I guess more in the beginning stages of habitat management, you want to do the whipped cream on top, where the chainsaw, bang for your buck, 1000%. Best way to do it is way more. Yeah, bang for your buck, way more rewarding and meaningful than a food plot. Your food plot gets eaten down. It was awesome. Deer were in there all the time. That's great. But once it's gone, they're gonna revert back to the woody species that are there, and if there aren't any, they're gonna go somewhere else.
And how do you like? I don't know. I guess I feel like it's. I don't want to say like dangerous in the sense of like getting hurt, but I feel like it's dangerous in the sense of making a big mess. Like if you drop too much stuff, it's good for a minute, and then you just have all this crap in the way, and then everything's grown up around it. So, I mean, and that's kind of what we've seen on our property where, they leave these big piles of tailings, which is great. And then, 20 years later, you got these giant brush piles or whatever that's all grown up, and it becomes like somewhat impassable.
Yeah.
And, are you doing more harm than good? You're real patting yourself on the back for those first couple years where it's like, oh, it's really open and things are growing. And then next thing 10 years later, where you're at that stage where it is that thick, nasty bedding stuff and you can't see through it. And you're like, well, what did I do here? Did I shoot myself in the foot?
Yeah, that's a super common thought and concern. Every place I've been on consulting, and they all have the same.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today. Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Same concern. Even I've had that concern, and it is a mess. First of all, you said dangerous. Dangerous. It is very dangerous. Wear your safety stuff. Read some books on how to fell a tree, etc. Start small, work your way up. But the mess, I don't worry about the mess anymore. Mother Nature heals itself really quickly. Yeah, you're gonna have some of those slash piles. What I'll do with them if they're too big, like if it's an acre or something where it's really big, I'll cut navigable paths through there with my saw, just shoulder width wide so the deer can get through there. They'll bed in those for sure. Or if it's impassable, like you mentioned, they'll bed on the edges of it. It's a structure. It's security cover. So there is some getting over that, but you got pros and cons. You're winning more than you're losing there. And if you don't like one of the piles because it's in the way, cut it up, burn it in the stove. But if you can, the open woods you mentioned, what did I do? The open woods are worse than that. So for deer habitat, anything above 5 foot, I like to say and have heard said is useless to a deer, besides maybe an apple tree or an oak tree that's dropping acorns, and that's just periodically in a year, very short period. So anything below 5 foot is where you want, that sunlight hitting and that food coming up. Thick, nasty messes is equal to good deer habitat. So it does take some getting over. You're right, it does. But you start seeing the results and you're like, okay, not that ugly. Deer using it. That buck's using it.
So I feel like it's a never-ending journey. Like, no matter how you slice it, you're going to be like, all right, well, I just need to do this, and then then I'll be satisfied. And then you do that, and then you're like, well, now over here, I think if I do this. So with the properties that you have, like, what has your focus been, like, leading up into this season?
Cut trees. And enough about cutting trees. We hit that. Right now, I've been working on a road project. I have a driveway and a road that goes right up the center of my property that I want to use for tractor, getting the deer out, stuff like that, moving blinds. And it's been a swampy mess for the last 2 years. So I got my buddy's backhoe in there, and we've been filling in holes and digging ditches and making that a road. That's not so much hunting related, it's more property infrastructure related. And it's working great. Besides that, I logged it I did some hinge cutting earlier this summer. Dropped a bunch of trees in areas where I know they bed, and then cut paths through there, like I mentioned. And then lately, it's been spraying the grasses and the sedge with herbicide, getting my clover and chicory ready to mow the weeds off, and just getting ready for fall food plotting. So, soil testing, fertilizer, getting the seed on order, and getting ready for that. I did put in 2 water holes with that backhoe about a week ago. That was kind of fun. So you're right. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Just checking boxes. Kind of the biggest hole in the bucket boxes first as I go. It might not be, July's not the best time to cut trees. It's hot. It's buggy, but it needs to get done. And when I get an hour or two, I'll do it. Sweat, whatever. But so that's kind of been my checklist this year. That road's been a big part. Just trying to get that knocked out.
And as I said, it's always like this. You said marathon, not a sprint. And I just said it's always continuous. You're always working. You're always working. You're always working. What would you say is the end goal?
Yeah, I think the end goal for me is when, your fruit trees are dropping fruit, your food plots are lush, your soil's amended, so things are going how they're supposed to. You got a lot of the mature canopy removed and on the ground. Your stand setups or saddle setups are, proven where they'll be good because you've learned and hunted it for a couple of years and figured that out. Then you're getting the deer on camera and hopefully in the freezer that you want.
If you've been looking to upgrade your cellular camera system to a system that's easy to use, you need to check out Yellowstone.AI. Their app is simple, intuitive, and designed for hunters by people who actually hunt. From setup to viewing your photos and managing your cameras, everything is straightforward and easy to navigate. Yellowstone's Y2 cellular trail camera was given ATA's Best New Technology Award for its ability to automatically connect to the strongest carrier, send HD photos and videos directly to your phone, and withstand year-round field conditions. What really sets Yellowstone apart is their customer service and lifetime warranty. When you need help, you're dealing with a U.S.-based support team that understands hunters and can get your questions answered quickly. They also offer highly competitive data plans and camera pricing, making it easier to keep more cameras in the field without breaking the bank. And if you're investing in equipment, it's nice knowing it's backed by their lifetime warranty that gives you the confidence season after season, spending less time making unnecessary visits to cameras and more time focusing on the hunt. Whether you're monitoring a home farm, a lease, or a public land setup, Yellowstone delivers the features hunters need with the support and value they deserve. Head over to Yellowstone.ai and see why more hunters are making the switch. Backed by a lifetime warranty, Yellowstone cameras are built to keep hunters connected and confident.
And that takes a while. So, like my buddy Corey's farm, he started with more of open fields and planted a bunch of grasses and like 3,500 trees. His is more mature after like 8 or 9 years of that growing in and filling in, and more turnkey or more satisfied, if you will, than mine is yet. So I'd say that pretty much describes it. When you don't have to go out there and hammer the big projects anymore because things are working, that's what I feel good about it. I'm not there yet, but that's when I'd feel good about it.
Well, I only asked that because it's like, how do you eat elephant? You eat elephant a bite at a time. But at the end of the day, you're still eating an elephant, right? Like it's not, bottomless mimosas, right? It's not like you're just drinking until you pass out. But sometimes that it can feel like overwhelming because it's like there's so much that you could never be done. You could never be satisfied. And at the same time, it's like, I almost feel like it would be, I guess you get to the end of it and everything works out just the way it is, but I feel like you're so wrapped up in the habitat that you would feel like you'd just be sitting there twiddling your thumbs like the fun is over now.
You could do more, right?
Right. So there'd still be something on the horizon. So that's what I'm saying is like, does the process take so long that by the time you get to that point, you know, I mean, you're always going to have to do food plots. You're always going to have to do that. But then I just see you like in your overalls up on the ladder, like the apple orchard guys, like I got to trim these trees got to be trimmed back, or I got to cut these ones like all the way off so that they can regenerate. And you know what I mean? Like now you're just managing literally a farm instead of a deer property.
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. I think it depends how much time you put in and how quickly, or I guess how short a period that time is put in, right? So say it's 200 hours to get 40 acres into tip-top shape. Well, can you do that in a year, or are you super busy and it might take you 5 years? The sooner you get that 200 hours done for a random number, the better your property's going to be, the better your hunting's going to be right off the bat. But, you know, we all have jobs, we all have kids, like we're all just trying to make it through the day most times. So if there's a couple hours here, a couple hours there, that's great. But to your point, if it was, say I checked all the big projects off the list, those aren't always as fun, the big ones. Like getting loggers in there or building a road. Like the fun stuff is when, you know, the food plotting, the mock scrape, the hanging the new set, just kind of fine tuning and thinking about where you're going to kill that deer in July or August or whatever. You know, it's really like deer hunting all year round when you're out there working. Like everything I'm doing is either for deer, you know, that I want to kill or get my kids or friends in front of. Like every step I'm doing is going to help that goal get achieved along the way. So I kind of call it hunting all year round.
So would you say you're doing just like what we resonate about? You're farming deer. You're just raising them up, picking them, naming them.
Yeah, I mean,
giving them birthdays, celebrating with them.
I like the razzing too. I don't name them. Never have. Am I trying to make a better piece of property for those deer to get more nutrition on? I guess would be farming. Yeah, for sure. Are my neighbors going to benefit and kill them all before I get a chance? That's happened. So I'm trying, but there's no fence. So I don't know if you're really deer farming, but farming for wildlife, I think that's Mossy Oak's saying. I always like that saying. You know, because all these stuff you do, you get more deer, you get more turkey, more coyotes. You know, where there's better habitat, wildlife will center around or focus on. So, yeah, I'm not naming them though. I'm not going that far.
So I got an interesting opportunity, I guess, for food plotting. And it's something I never would have even thought about, but I'm also new to the whole private land thing, right? So we got that lease last year and we hunted it and, you know, learned a lot about the property. But in talking with Nate, he's like, you know, so what's in the fields, blah, 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 blah. Well, there's a lot of wheat on there. And so they've taken that all off and they're done with it. And he's like, can you just go in there after them and plant? And I was like, I don't know. I'll ask them. And so it sounds like they don't care what we do because they're just going to let it grow up. So I think we're going to go in there and put in some food plots here in the next couple of weeks. But how does that, I mean, for archery, especially, like, I mean, you're going to get those deer going into that field. And I guess for my daughter, for the youth hunt, for, you know, rifle season, all that stuff, I think it will be, you know, quite helpful. But how would you approach that? I mean, I'm not going to plant 40 acres of, you know, nitro boost, but like, what would be your approach given that situation?
Is it all one big wide open field?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and it's coming off. I would plant strictly in front of the stand locations, like
How
only.
how much?
Yeah, I mean the deer density where you're at is fairly good. Um, I'd probably go carbon load right. I'd probably do quarter acre at each spot, around that area. That'll be browse tolerant enough to feed some deer. Um, and then yeah, I wouldn't do the whole thing because then they're gonna walk out wherever and feed and have no reason to come in front of you. So if you fertilize that area well, more than the rest of the field, plant that area, um, mock scrape that area for sure. That would give them a reason to swing in there. And even if they eat it all the way down on the ground, like your UP farm, every time we get a rain, that carbon load shoots up just a little bit. Even in November, and that will be it. And those deer know that, like they're grazers, they can eat that right down like a golf course green. So you get that little quarter inch or little half inch growth. That's enough to bring them back. So that's probably what I would do there. Um, in a perfect world, I'd screen the edge around them so they can't see across the whole field and all that stuff. But I'd definitely try that.
Yeah. It was like I said, Nate's like, I'll go right in after as soon as they take it off. He's like, I go in and spread that, and I'm like, something I never would have even entertained, you know. Um, so it will be interesting, but it's also, I mean, when I say that we learned a lot, I hunted that property like it was public land, and all these deer just traveled the edges. Like they traveled these field edges, just like, I guess like you see on TV or whatever. But like every field edge I've ever seen on public land, those deer are, 100 yards in from it. Like no way I would ever be caught out there. So it was just kind of wild to see.
That is nice to have a spot like that where you can rely on, you know, a good chance to see some deer, like you said, for your daughter or whomever, and be out there and not have to fight the fight we all fight on the public land. But I like doing both. But to have that kind of backup spot that you put a little more time into and have maybe good access to a blind and then nobody else hunted it for a little while, it's always nice.
Yeah. I'll tell you too, on our way up to the Total Archery Challenge, we had a little bit of time, so we stopped over to Hutchie's and got to check out his farm. And you talk about all these little projects and stuff that you're doing. That was really cool to see how, like, all of the different things that are going on over there and things that he's tried over the years, and like I don't know if it's like the vision or like, just being like, oh, this is going in over here and that's going in over there. And we used to do that here and this was here and we're doing that. Like that's a pretty neat property for what it is.
Yeah, no kidding. And he lives there, which I'm so jealous of. Beautiful area. He's got some nice deer around. He's had I've been out there, our buddy Matt Zoll's been out there, Corey and Drew, our whole HP crew has been out there, and we talk and hey, what about this or what about that? And Andy has all his ideas too. And it's turning out to be a pretty sweet spot. He's got some hammers walking around, and he's got a logger coming in to finish his woods up and get that cut really hard again. And I mean, for 50 or 55 acres, whatever it is, behind the house, it's a very cool spot.
Yeah. And there's a lot of diversity,
Mm.
for, again, just on that little bit of acreage. Um, but so are you able to hunt near your house, or how far do you have to go to like play around?
Yeah. My 40 acres is 25 minutes.
Okay.
So everything around here is about 25 minutes to get out of town and whatnot, and out into the good areas. So yeah, it's not bad. I mean, my last property was an hour and 15, and the northern one's about 4 hours. So it's so nice being 25 minutes away. I mean, and go out there on lunch and check a camera or whatever, and that's helpful, especially for morning hunts. When you get hour plus away, morning hunts those can be a little tough, but it's I definitely like it. That's about the closest I've had. I have some public land like 5 minutes from my house, but it gets absolutely pounded. I see trucks there all the time. They did just do a nice clear cut there about 2 years ago. It might be worth popping in there sometime, but I don't hunt 7 days a week. So if I had more time, I'd check out more areas. I just get out when I can at this point, you know.
Now, at that close property, do you have equipment there? Do you have storage there, or do you have to like trailer all your stuff back and forth every time?
Yeah, I trailer it. I don't have anything. I should probably get a shipping container in there. Um, my neighbor's quad there got ripped off and and painted black and put on Facebook Marketplace, and they found the guy and arrested him and whatnot. So it's not, it's never that smart to leave your stuff out there. But I don't have anything. I love to build a barn out there, but that's like so expensive now. And then to try to, unless you're going to stay there and live there, which I probably won't, how much do you put into, you spend $50,000 on a huge pole? No, I'm not going to do that. So nothing yet. Nothing yet. Just take the keys out and pray at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about like the convenience factor.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, even though it's just a half hour away, like if you're going there like for a weekend or for a couple days to do big projects, having to load up the trailer, unload the trailer, go, back and forth and back and forth. It's all those little things that, especially being, a dad, a husband, having a job, like all those minutes, all those little things that can go wrong and all those little things that eat up your time, they add up, right?
Oh, 100%. That's why I'm so jealous of guys that live on their farms, and I'm not in a bad area where I live, but the guys who can go out their back door on Monday at 5 o'clock and get 2 hours in, and then maybe again on Thursday and get 2 more hours in. That's so convenient. Matt is all the same way. He's making that 30 acres pretty awesome. He's out there all the time during, not during season, but out there the rest of the year. And that would be really more convenient than getting the trailer, loading it up, strapping it down, driving 25 minutes, unstrapping it. Same thing when you go home. So yeah, totally.
Now, I'm trying to figure out a way to word this.
Here we go.
Well, it's just like,
You always have something spicy for me. I'm ready.
well, I just feel like if you just do that at home, like I understand like the passion for habitat and being able to go and, you know, like we talked about at the beginning, like fine tune all of that stuff. And maybe like to some degree polish a turd, right? Like to make an area where there was never deer never wanted to be there, to an area where you were actually able to shoot good bucks or whatever. But I think in a way, would you think that it would take away like your like drive for adventure or like wanting to get out, like leave deer to find deer, like want to go out of state, like you know all these other things, to be like, well, I can just go back behind my house and shoot a big deer. Like, why would I want to do this? And then I can just see the other side of it where, everything that we're talking about here on in some way, shape, or form, it is expensive, whether it's time or money or both. And then you've got a family to sit there, and your wife is going to be like, so you did all this work out back, you spend all your time back there, all you're doing is talking about trees all the time and seed, and all your buddies come over and that's all you do.
So true.
And now you want to go to Ohio for a week, and during the season all you do is sit back there anyway and play with your tractors. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So true. I do know what you're saying. First I would say, and I just talked about this like yesterday with my buddy Corey. Uh, I would say even though it's in your backyard, you shouldn't hunt it all the time, right? So like have a backup spot, have a lease, like you do, or some public nearby that you can go blow out if you get the free day and you can go out and the conditions aren't perfect for the habitat project your property you're working on. Have another spot, but no. So I get that, and then all the money you put into it and time you put into it. Yeah, that's a good one there. That'd be a hard one to argue with the wife on that one. Mine doesn't ask that question, thank goodness. Um, but like all the property work I do on my property, friends' properties, you know, consulting with people, I have to go bang around on public or out of state and get that, you know, do I still got it? Question answered. Like, can I go get on them and make it happen? So for me, yeah, I guess you could get stuck in a pattern and get lazy about it and just go hunt the same redneck blind or whatever and just have the Facebook picture everybody wants and do that. I don't care enough, I guess. I love to go boots on the ground. Yeah, so I guess my conversation with Corey yesterday was like, "Hey, where are we going out of state this year? I have nothing planned. I didn't draw anything. Went out a bunch last year. I just want to go somewhere for 5 days, 1 week, whatever. I don't care where it is. Let's just go, you know, put it to the test. I have to do that still. I know what you're saying. I have to do that still. And then I'll come back and try to kill a Michigan buck, which is hard enough too. So I do like going out though and making sure your woodsmanship is still sharp.
Now, in that sense, have you ever in I guess I should say now, are you just going to go to one of your buddy's farms and just go shoot something off of that?
I've done
But
that.
yeah, yeah. But have you ever been out on public or had an experience on public that you were like, I think this could work on my property?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think walking ground, period, public, private, wherever.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today. Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Hones in your woodsmanship skills, your scouting. So any chance you can get in the woods and learn, it's gonna help you on wherever your next project is or next hunt or property is. Especially if you walk with a forester sometime. They're pointing out deer browse and they're pointing out different species and you're like, do deer eat that? Yes, they do. Like, okay, I didn't know that. That's stuff you could easily take vice versa out of state and put it on public where maybe it's not as diverse and hasn't had the work done to it. And there's probably, honestly, you might have to walk further, but when you see it, you probably know it easier than maybe a fully managed piece of ground. And then vice versa, yeah, I think walking a lot of public or hunting public that I've hunted, especially northern Michigan, then you get back to mine. I know on the habitat side, I need to keep going. I need to do more because some of that public is forest land. They log it every 20 or 30 years. That's all they do. You can find some invasives on it. It can be wide open timber, park effect. Not stuff I want to see on my ground. So it's almost like, okay, yep, I don't want that. Then I come back to my stuff. I'm like, all right, yep, you don't want that. So keep working towards the end goal of diversity and sunlight. So I think that might answer your question.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think that that's like the realistically like the culmination of why I think like going elk hunting has made me a better whitetail hunter. Like, and then because you just have to walk further, you have to try and figure out all this different types of terrain, and then all the failures lead to successes, and then going and trying to see stuff, uh, like recognize patterns over and over, and then it's just plug and play. Um, but sometimes you get into a good area, and it's 100% not applicable really to like this. But I mean, Frank messed up on a turkey this year when we were turkey hunting, but we walked up over this ridge and we stopped there, and it was just beautiful. I mean, it was like 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 immature hemlocks and like right going down into the river in this big meadow, And I said, man, this feels like elk hunting. This is a killer spot. Like you'd expect to just have a bull come like bugle right here. I hit the turkey call and one gobbled like right there. And it was like, well, I guess, turkeys like that too. Like it was just super cool. But, you just start to recognize like places where deer want to be and things like that. So, I guess you can just kind of plug and play that on your property too. And, with whether it's, making the mock scrapes on like if you had a beech tree on your property that didn't have a scrape on it, you make a mock scrape and you'll probably be scraped up for the rest of your kids' lives,
Totally.
Like,
No, I think you're 100% accurate. You're seeing and experiencing more. You're adding into that encyclopedia in your brain of what works, what doesn't. And eventually, we get our age or older, it starts to become your gut feel. You don't even know it. You're just like, I'm going to walk through. I'm not even stopping right here. You just keep walking. Well, why? Well, because I've already been through 500 spots like this in the past 20 years, and I know what a good spot looks like. That's kind of what I like to do with the out-of-state hunts and the public land hunts is like round yourself out, if that makes sense. Be able to do it all. Turkey hunting, like that spot that you found, if it's full of good habitat, who's to say there won't be more wildlife in it of other kinds? So you saw that, you had a gut feel, hit the call, and boom. So I think there's spots like that on any ground that you just got to find and know what you look for. And I think the more ground you walk and the more experiences you have, it becomes part of your intuition and your gut, for sure.
yeah. Yeah. And, coming up, like there's no way that you could ever believe anybody. You'd just be like, how does he always know that? Like, what did he see here? And it's
Right.
just, just like, this doesn't look like a good spot. Like, you could be standing in the same spot and be like, I think this looks like a good spot. And then, somebody else would be like, I think about 30 yards over there is going to be, no, I'm going to sit right here. And then 30 yards over there, like all the deer, like, you're like, God damn it. Like,
Yeah.
how did he know? And the amount of times that I've experienced that, like, up until like exactly like what you said, like you've seen it enough times to be like, okay. And it's interesting. And I think that that's what I like about, I guess like the public land and like not having all of the presets because, even on our property in the UP, and I get leery about trying to put any presets like on this lease is I feel like you become hamstrung or conditioned to have to be somewhere. And I think if you're not, especially like on this lease that we have, because there's so little timber that if you're not disciplined enough to only hunt it on the right wind or whatever. I mean, there's plenty of places that you could hunt on any wind, but if there's a preset and you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to go in there and be lazy and sit there, you could ruin essentially the whole season or the whole next 2 weeks just by being lazy and saying, I'm going to be complacent. I'm just going to go sit in that stand rather than, and that's what I try to explain to like my father-in-law is like, well, we could put a stand here, or we could put a stand here. And it's like, you know, you remember when you used to just go with your climber on your back and say, I'm just going to go get wherever. And I said, well, like, with this, you know, with these sticks in my saddle, I'm going to go, I don't even think about it. Like wherever the wind is blowing, I'm just going to get downwind of wherever I want to shoot. And I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to get busted. That's it. Like, totally. I'm not too concerned about the wind so much unless it's like absolutely wrong for where I think the deer are going to come from. And I just won't hunt there.
Yeah, you hit multiple nails on the head right there. Like, you got to stand. The wind's a little off. Should I go climb up a tree in my saddle setup or climber, what we used to do? Or just go not sweat, maybe. And wind's, whatever. I'll hunt it anyways. Well, that buck comes in from the wrong way. He smells you 100 yards away. You don't even know he's there. He's not coming back, at least in Michigan, for a long time. So, like, I think I've killed more. I have to do the math. I'm positive. I've killed more deer on first sits than any other hunts ever, period. Whether it was climber back in the day or latitude saddle now, like, it's by far, even last year, another one, like, the first sit where they don't know where you are. You know, because they know where I'm driving in, like I said, and about your lease. They know when you're pulling in. They know when you slam the door. They know how you get to the stands. But if that changes all the time, you're better off. And, like, for instance, we were in West Virginia last fall on our Patreon hunt. And thank you for convincing me to do Patreon. It was truly humbling and awesome to have a hunt put together. We went down there, and our buddy Scott had a bunch of presets, and he didn't have a saddle yet. Blinds and presets. So there's guys from all over the country that were there hunting. And I just had my saddle, and so did Andy. And when I would say, all right, what's the wind doing? All right, where are the acorns dropping? I'm going to hunt there. Like, well, there's no stand there. That doesn't matter. Well, some of the guys who hadn't been saddle hunting yet were kind of like, you can just go wherever you want and just do whatever you want, whenever. Yeah, that's actually a better way to hunt. So it's pretty neat to have the freedom. And then you combine that with public ground where you don't have to stop at a property border. You know, the world is yours, Chico, right? Like, you can do whatever you want. So I think that is the reason I don't have any preset stands on my 40 acres. I have 2 blinds for the kids. I bring the kids out quite a bit. And they don't sit still. But I'm purposely not going in there all summer and hanging 5 or 6 stands because I don't want to be complacent and make a decision at 4 in the morning just to go sit in the stand. Yeah. Because I know, get better with your saddle, get better with your system, get up the tree. If it doesn't work, then you don't have to tear that stand down and go rehang it some other time. Like, it just works if you can get into it.
Well, and I mean, maybe this is part of that, like, complacency, and I do, you know, go up a couple of times and shoot out of the saddle every year before the season. But I hear about guys like being like, oh, you know, you got to get, you know, you got to reacclimate yourself to your sticks and your stand, and, like, you know, you haven't done it that much, and da 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 da. And it's like, I don't know about you, but I bet you I had I would say conservatively 40 or 50 sits in that with those standing the saddle and sticks last year.
Wow.
Like up and down. Like in the dark, in the cold, in the rain, in the everything, like I know those things like the back of my hand. And you want to know what's really funny? I think I said this on one of the other podcasts. When I go to the Great American Outdoor Show with Latitude and showing people how to use the sticks and stuff, it always blows me away. Like when I use the sticks that are there, because they have the brand new ropes on them, and mine are like gray and like, and they're like, how long do those ropes last? Or like, that doesn't seem like it'll hold up. And I'm like, mine are gray and flat and like they look like they're frayed, and like these things are, these are stiff. Like it's crazy. That's what I think is so funny. But just like you say, like you said, get more comfortable with your climbing, and it's like, I don't even like think about it. Like I come down in the dark, and it's like I could do it. I feel like I could literally do like stack up those sticks and do everything with my eyes closed.
It doesn't take that much longer than just getting down and walking out. It really doesn't.
But like you said, like the freedom of that, and I think what you said there about like the property borders. When I first started this and I decided like I was going to hunt public land, like different public land around here, because I've always hunted public land with Frank, and it was always like the same piece, and I still hunt there, hunt in different places a little bit, but I just looked on the map and I found the biggest piece of public with like the nastiest access that I could find just to get away from people. But at the same time, I knew that if I ran into somebody, I could go, I could go damn near a mile in the other direction without hitting a boundary, without hitting anything. So, and then you go to like, everybody's like, oh, you got 240 acres in the UB. Well, there's still, I mean, we're really fortunate that to the north is 3 miles of state land, like the nastiest ground that the Lord has ever made in Michigan. But the other sides are neighbors and, property lines. And just like everywhere else, those boundaries are riddled with blinds just because, I don't know, because people put up fences and the deer like to work down fences or hedgerows or whatever. So you're still hamstrung. That 240 acres becomes really small when everybody hunts the edges.
Sure does. And then, your neighbors aren't in their edges too. Yeah, it adds up. And the deer that I like to go after are usually, they catch on to that sort of thing. So, to your point about getting way back in the thick of stuff, period, what I thought you were going to say is, even when you get back in there with that saddle setup, you're going to find something you can get up, even if it's 6 foot off the ground, which I think is pretty cool. And back there, nobody's going back there for the most part. And if they are, okay, you walk the other direction 300 yards and hunt. I think maybe the hamstring or hamstrung comment is probably what it is. And then just, path of least resistance, people just want to, go get up in the tree quick and quiet and whatnot. So, I love it, man. I like, again, because with a new property, public or private, I don't know yet where the great spots are. And it could change. If we're dropping a ton of trees in one area, which we did this summer, that might force a deer to move around. And it might take me a hunt or two to see that and be like, oh, okay, I got to be over there. And next time you just go in and maybe they smelled where you were from 2 days ago after you left, and they're, okay, well, they're not going there, so they're going to double their chances of being where you saw them, and you're there, up the tree. So, I just, once you get your system dialed, I'll use the headlamp when I get to the bottom of the tree just to pack up my stuff tight so I don't drop anything dumb. I lost some lines in the past doing that. Then I'm good, And sometimes we'll leave a saddle set up overnight if it's a good spot and you want to get in there the next morning because you just didn't close the deal, then I'll let it sit for a night.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today. Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you could only hunt one forever, being the habitat guy that you are, you could still farm, you could still mess around, but you could only hunt public or private. What would you choose?
Is it my piece of private, and how big is it? Mine or friends or whatever, like that I'm putting the work in on?
Yeah.
What state is it?
Wherever. I mean, whatever you have access to.
I think I like setting the mouse trap. I think I like doing the work and seeing if I can get him to do what I feel like I'm trying to get him to do. And then I think that's pretty fun. When you can keep him off the neighbors, when you can, cut that path, line it with clover, put the mock scrape there, get in that one tree, and he actually reads the script for all the work you put in all summer. That's pretty fun. I would never want to be forced to pick one though. I do like them both. Like I said, I have to be able to get out and go explore. There's like when you're coming on a new piece of ground, public ground somewhere, and you just don't know what's over the next ridge, like that's hard to beat.
So your conversation, where did you guys choose? Where are you going to go this year?
A couple of buddies want to do some Illinois public land. My buddy Jordan owns a farm down there that I've been hunting the last couple of years, and it's fun. My dad got his biggest down there, and I've killed a couple deer there. But so my buddy Joe and Evan from Grand Haven, they want to go Illinois public. So we might still go that way and just haul the camper down and get 5 or 6 of us together and go trounce around. I do like hunting Illinois. I feel like I don't know. Midwest states like Ohio. I've done Ohio. I've killed some bucks in Ohio. That can be challenging down there though too. So I think we're thinking Illinois or maybe Western Kentucky. Never hunted Kentucky.
When you get down there, what's your playbook look like?
Yeah, well, we haven't planned anything yet, but if say it was planned, I'd probably go trick or treat with the kids and then go the next morning. I always like to do that, and then get down there. And a lot of these places I go, cameras don't really work that well, so I usually have a couple, but they never seem to get put out. So I'll just scout with the stuff on the back, and I always say I'm gonna scout for like 2 days. Like Iowa, I was like, I'm gonna scout for 2 days before I even hunt. No, I hunted the first night. So I'll just kind of work my way into an area, find some good sign. That time of year, I'll probably still pay attention to scrapes for sure, and then topography and start on the outside and kind of adjust from there. So I don't know where we're going. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if there's water access, if there's land access. Not sure on that yet.
Without taking the scrapes aside, like what topographical features are you looking for?
I like kind of higher up ridges. If you're going to be on, if there's any topography to the ground, I like to be high up. That helps my wind be more steady. If there's oaks on it, that's cool. And then, narrower the better. But kind of like an oak flat up top would be a good spot to start, I think. And if it's some sort of funnel, whatever, the cliche stuff you hear everybody talk about, I'll pay attention to that too.
Are you looking like for things like adjacent to like private ag, or are you just going big woods?
I'd probably look for whether it's public or private, wherever the good bedding's going to be, thickest, nastiest stuff, like you mentioned on that piece of Michigan public. I'm going to focus around cover, and it could be next to private. It could be in the middle of a swamp on public. You know, do the Dan Infalt, walk the edge, walk the transition. Maybe try to get out there a little bit and just get high up maybe the first day and see what you can see, and go from there. But I'm definitely gonna find cover. Like I won't stop in open woods. I'll keep going.
So for the deer that you've killed out of state on, we'll say on public ground, um, why do you think you were successful? Like what has been like the overarching theme? Like why you were successful versus maybe other times when you weren't?
Yeah, I would say having the ability to put in more time than less time. You know, like a 2-day hunt, I feel like you're just figuring it out sometimes by the end of that second day and gotta get back for work or something. Um, and I would say first time sits, and I would say an edge. You know, that cover where it might meet that open woods. I assume there's going to be bedding in that cover, so I'm getting on the downwind side of that. That would be the overarching theme. It hasn't really been so much a food thing, time of year. And then I would say, you know, further off the beaten path, you know, up a hill that most guys might not want to walk up. You know, I'm thinking of Ohio, an Ohio buck, um, way up on top. You know, you're sweating by the time you get there. You're hating life, and then you know here he comes at last light type thing.
All right.
How about
I
you?
just
What's
me?
what's been what's your center point? I mean, I'm watching the Rome videos. You guys are taking one end of a ridge over here with two of you, one end of a ridge down here, and you know you might have had a little history there, but what do you focus on? Maybe or what's been most successful for you?
Um, I think mostly I was I've been most successful where like multiple transitions come together. Like that has been like the first buck I killed in Kansas, the second, the big buck that I was at full drawn in Kansas was exactly there, and then where I missed that other buck in Kansas. Um, that spot where you were talking about where we were shooting all those does, that was where all the transitions came together. Um, the buck I killed in Tennessee was the same thing that we look for in Ohio when you're dealing with topography. That the So we went to Tennessee. Brad lives in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one in that video that you're talking about.
Yeah, I know Brad. Love that guy.
Oh yeah. Um, it was so funny because he was like, so Eric and I e-scouted all this way before we were going to hunt Kentucky. Didn't end up hunting Kentucky, so we just shifted and started e-scout in Tennessee. We get down there and Brad's like, yeah, I normally hunt here. I normally do this. We're like, we're not going there. Not at all. We're going to look at this and this and this. And, I ended up walking Brad through like what we were looking at on the map. And he goes, oh, so y'all are just looking for those M's on the map. Like, yeah. So basically, like, in the terrain, like where those like turkey feet come together, like if you just go to the point of that M, there should be a scrape right there, and generally speaking, there is. And then you just look and see how fresh it is and like whatever. And we were able to get on deer really quickly, just by seriously terrain features. And then the first day was looking at like way up on top, like looking at saddles, stuff like that. But if we're going out of state like that, we're just literally looking at like just looking at the terrain, like not, maybe looking at a little bit of whatever was around, but first look at like where there's public, where's your access, how big is it, and then maybe look at access, and then look at the terrain, and then once you get everything comes together in one spot, like that's automatically where I'm going to check out.
Yeah, do you also I totally agree. Do you also feel like there are different habitats that come together, or I should say more diversity at that location with all these different things coming together?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And
Really all it comes down to is finding most diverse area,
yeah. And it, like at those transition points, like at the M's, right? Not necessarily a difference in habitat, like a little bit, because you're going from the top to the bottom, a little bit, but it's usually like there's usually a flat spot right there. And so that's why it was easier. But in all those other cases, it was like where a field met a draw when there's woods coming together, or there was a pine thicket that went down into a cedar bottom that was up on a maple ridge going up the other way. I mean, it was like where everything dumped in together. And I mean, but there's no real, I guess the best way to put it is like, there's no way to see that on the map. Maybe if you're an expert at looking at like leaf cover or whatever, but by looking at the topography, you can say like something is happening right there that's different. And so I'm going to go check that spot out.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good starting point, right? So at least you're omitting maybe 80% of the 1,000-acre chunk or even more and focusing on those points. Yeah, I think that's definitely the ticket.
Yeah. So take it from the world's worst bow hunter.
I don't know. I don't know what are you ever going to relinquish that? Because you're killing some deer.
I missed the same deer 3 times in one sit. I didn't run out of broadheads on that one, but it was the third one when he decided he didn't want to stand there any longer.
Yeah, well, all right. Maybe not ready yet.
Yeah, I just didn't, I didn't want to get, too big of a head, I didn't want to be like, oh, yeah, I got this thing figured out. Like, so
Star Wars episode.
Yeah, well, it's like I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. But everything worked out the way that it was supposed to, except for the execution. So it was what it was. So,
where are you going this year?
Iowa.
Nice.
So we'll see. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to film Joe, and then I'm going to hunt as well. And so we're hunting 7.
Okay. I was going to ask.
So he could have drawn 5, but he wanted to hunt with me. So, and I wasn't even going to draw. He was going to draw. And I said, because he filmed us in Kansas, I said, well, I'll just film you.
Yep.
In 5, and then I'll just hunt. I think I got enough to draw 7, so I'll draw 7 and I'll hunt on our way back. He's like, well, I'll just hunt with you. I'm like, that's dumb. but so that's what we're doing. So
great.
It'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
I said, we've got, I think we have different standards, so I think I'm going to have to bring my bow every time.
Yep. In case he passes on something and you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
That way you let that guy walk.
Yeah. You're not going to shoot that 115? Come on.
Zip. That'll be a good time. Joe is such a selfless guy. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And like I said, I literally was going to just to film for him because he went and just filmed for us. So, but it'll be fun nonetheless. He gets to boss me around.
Perfect.
One thing I do know is that I'll be able to keep up with him. He could not keep up with me.
Really?
He's
lugging all that camera gear too.
Yeah, I guess. You give him an out.
I'm trying, Joe. I'm trying, buddy.
So, what's new in the Vitalize world? What's new this year for product?
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been going very well. Look at the website right here. We fall food plots are on the mind. If you guys haven't thought about it yet, what's new? I like a new grain bin mix we came out with. So Lincoln at Packer Max, he had a special request for this mix. Super easy to grow, fairly inexpensive. We use it to kind of like your grains, like late planting, little growth, fill in the bare spots type mix. Those are like 30 and 50 pound bags. You got wheat, rye, triticale, and I think the last one was buckwheat. So all stuff that germinates very quickly. And is attractive to deer. So that's brand new. We have a lot of new bundles on there, like our frost seed bundle this year. We have, a garden bundle. We have a lawn care bundle. Stuff that, some of the same products that we've offered in the past, but we want guys to know that you can use this stuff for more than just food plots. It's all of our stuff's, all natural, won't burn up your grass at home. Like our no-till nurture is a granular fertilizer mix. It's like slow release fertilizer. You can dump that on as heavy as you want, and you will not burn it like if you did regular fertilizer, right? You're supposed to use it before rain. Don't do too much. Yellow streaks in your grass. So just still going along with transparent, affordable products. Our Alfalfa Edge was another new one. That's alfalfa and our premium clover, which is a perennial 5-blend clover mix put together, mostly alfalfa. That's been really knocking it out this year with guys. Alfalfa can be super attractive, especially in the early season. So, and it lasts, 4 or 5 years as well. So just kind of doubling down on the stuff we're doing and adding a few new products. We have a couple we're coming out with again next year. So, but right now, still my favorite's Carbon Load. That's what we're going to be shipping you and Andrew and that stuff. And 17 different types of seed in that mix. You have all your brassicas and turnips, you have all your clovers, all your grains. It's just super diverse. So like I said, when you get a little bit of rain, that stuff pops. So even if it's mowed down, you get a little bit of rain, it's going to pop. It just remains the most attractive mix that I've ever planted. So, and I waited a while for I'd say, something like that. So it's going good, man. Things are going good. Food plot season is on the brain. I'll probably be planting in anywhere in the next 10 to 14 days, I'd say, here in Michigan. Guys in Iowa, I talked to a guy yesterday. He's right about there, maybe a little bit behind there. Guys down south are a little bit later yet. And then, Andrew up in the UP, that frost date hits earlier. So I try to go, 45, 60 days before that frost date, which he should be pretty close if he's planting like August 8th. August is in, a couple days here. It's time.
Yeah, so we're, like I said, Nate said we got about 2-3 weeks. So
yep,
we're going to try and get over there, get that in and see what happens. And, hopefully, Stella will get a chance to whack one and Frank will get to shoot something big, and I'll at least get to educate a couple more bucks. So
and play farmer wonderful. In the meantime, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Get on my overalls and straw hat.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody has any questions, you, Nate, whomever, let us know. We respond to everything. Free shipping on every single product on the website. So
awesome. Well, appreciate it, Jared. And good luck this season. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Great catching up. We'll have you on soon, brother. Thank you very much.
All right. Awesome, man.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today. Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.